Since I last filmed in Denmark, spring has well and truly arrived, also in the garden. So welcome to a greener, sunnier video. When we first created our garden, I drew elaborate plans and bought all the plants and trees that you now see in it. I knew from the beginning that I wanted trees with blossoms on them. Apple trees, pear trees, Japanese cherry trees, white blossoms, pink blossoms. I've always found them enchanting, and before I had my own garden, I would often ride my bike down certain streets in the spring, where I knew they had some of these blossoming trees in their front gardens, or along the street. When we planted our own, my late mother-in-law said, "But the cherry trees only bloom for 2 weeks." And I said, "Yes, but during those 2 weeks, they're a wonder. And in the autumn they have the most beautiful bronze-colored leaves." Life is made up of little moments, and instead of regretting that they will pass, I think we should try to cherish them when they're there, as well as look forward to them, which prolongs the enjoyment and actually, so I've read, releases those chemicals in our brain which make us happier. I forget if it's endorphins or dopamine or serotonin, but anticipating joys creates a rush of the much wanted chemicals in our brains, as do the joys themselves, if we remember to embrace them. I don't always remember, or sometimes I take those cherry trees for granted. They'll be about to change from pink to green, and suddenly I'll remember to savor those pink blossoms before they disappear until next year. Well, it's like that sometimes. No use feeling guilty about it. There will be other things to appreciate if we just look for them. Because that's the thing, of course. They don't necessarily just present themselves. You have to plant those trees yourself, or go find them. Deliberately seek them out. It doesn't have to be big things. Even something like dandelions in the lawn is magical in April or May. Although I know we'll grow tired of them in a few weeks. Pruning the first roses is also something I enjoy. But since I plant more than 80 roses during the first few years that we lived here, that too becomes a bit of a chore as we move further into the spring. But just wait until you see them in bloom a few weeks from now. The roses along our driveway I prune several times a year, having learned the hard way once that they shouldn't be too close to the car. In the midst of all this springtime tranquility, we sent our daughter to Spain on a little visit with another school. A few days later, we went to a meeting at her school in connection with an upcoming trip to Berlin, just one day after she comes back from Madrid. So I've been doing endless amounts of laundry after our trip to Edinburgh, before her trip to Madrid, and then speedily before Berlin. When we first moved into our house, one of the things I appreciated the most was being able to dry our clothes on an outdoor clothesline. After various damp basements in apartment buildings, it felt so luxurious. And of course, it's only possible half of the year here, so that too is another welcome sign of spring. We got up before sunset on the day our daughter was to go to Berlin. The birdsong was wonderful, even if it felt like the middle of the night to me. I tried to keep busy and not worry too much about her, which is definitely easier this time of year when we can go outside so much more. Apart from the light, the birdsong is one of the things I love best about this time of year. It's like a gentle, heartening soundtrack to my walks. The weather has been mixed, but I almost don't care when it's cloudy now or chilly, because of all the green everywhere and the blossoms. I'm getting carried away a little with the blossom in this video, I know, But they're only here for a short time, so I wanted to share them with you. Maybe a bit too much. I noticed on my weather app the other day that the sun sets about 3 minutes later every day now and rises 3 minutes earlier. So that's quite a lot of extra daylight we get from now until the end of June. I appreciate that so much. This is the time of year too that I'm reminded of the Roman Cicero's statement that if you have a library and a garden, you have everything you need. I would add that if you don't have a garden, as I didn't for many years, you can find them. Go to parks, look at gardens online. Simply go somewhere to look at trees. It's all good, and good for us. I think this may be also connected to what some call looking for joy rather than happiness. Happiness is such a big yet elusive term, whereas the joys can be found on a daily basis through some of the choices that we make. Like going for walks. I usually walk alone. I've learned to be the kind of person who thrives in her own company. So I'm happy I get to share some of it with you. Well, the sun has just set. It's a little past 8:30, and this is about the time that the sun sets now, so it's still light out, but it's a little bit chilly, but that's okay. Maybe you can hear the birds singing, chirping away up there, especially the blackbird. I love that sound. I have to stay up until 12 o'clock, that is midnight tonight, because I have to collect my daughter from Berlin. She will be at her school approximately at around midnight, but that's alright, it's still going to be light out for a little while, and I've always got my knitting. Apropos, this is the sweater or the cardigan that you might have seen me knit, and it's perfect for an evening like this. So thank you so much for watching.